Oh boy, so let's talk about one of my big personality traits, and that is being the quiet kid. Well, I'm not really a kid anymore. I'm 22 years old, so more like the quiet adult. But growing up in school, I was the quiet kid, sitting in the corner, minding his own business. So I wanted to sort of take the time to reflect and sort of talk about my experience being the quiet kid. Now that I've sort of looked back on a lot of my life and realize that being quiet has kind of led me to where I am. So let's just start with some of the pros and cons. We'll start with the cons first, get the negativity out of the way. So the obvious con is the fact that you're being reserved and people notice that. They notice that you're quiet, so they're not going to necessarily walk up to you. And sorry, this is not some anime thing where even the quiet guy gets the girl or something. Nope, that did not happen to me. This is real life. So, yeah, that did not happen, unfortunately. But if you're quiet and if you're okay with it, people will buzz off for the most part. They won't really talk to you. So if you're really introverted, just keep your mouth shut and people will stay away from you. But as a person that's kind of in this weird limbo of kind of almost being selectively extroverted and introverted, it's kind of like a balance. One day I'll be extroverted, the next day I'll be introverted. Sometimes somewhere in the middle. I don't know where. It's different every day, right? But that it cost me a lot of opportunities to even just add to conversations. Like it's not even just being approachable or anything like that. It's also if I'm actually in a conversation. So if it's group work, if it was coworkers or something like that, if somebody's talking about something, sometimes I end up just keeping my mouth shut because I just don't want to add to the conversation. But then I'm like, oh wait, well I could have said this. So if we were talking about cats and dogs, I could have said, yeah, I had a dog back in the day or something like that. But yeah, it on a quick tangent, it's more of a subconscious thing of like nobody's gonna care. But then again, everybody forgets conversation 5 minutes later, unless it's super important. So, um, a pro though I found of being quiet was that I could really dictate my friend groups a lot more. Not be a dictator in friend groups, but dictate who is my friends and such. Because I find in school, I really noticed this a lot of different parties and personality types would clash together and people would change. And this is kind of almost like evolution in a way, but to an extreme degree, but it's almost adapting to these other people, which I did not quite want to adapt to these other people. I was me. I was the guy that loved to play video games, the guy that was quiet, the guy that liked the quiet as well. Um, so I just couldn't adapt. So in ways I was also left behind, but it's I've kind of kept a pure side of me in ways. I know some people might take it way out of context and such, but no, this is about my likes and such. See, in school, I'd oftentimes end up getting slammed because I like video games. Oh, Braxter likes video games. Geez, I don't want to hang out with this guy. He's too weird and such, right? Like this is saying gives me vibes from an anime I just finished last night, Horimiya. I think I pronounced that right. Horimiya? There, that's better. So, so Miyamura is he's kind of like me. He's quiet, reserved, and keeps things hidden. He doesn't really show much of his personality. If somebody tries to talk to him or something, he gets scared and all that. Which, in ways, I kind of got scared because I'm like, "What the hell? What? This person's talking to me? Sorry, I gotta do this," and I run away. Not all the time, though. Sometimes I try to stick around and push through it, but not all the time. But yeah. So it fits me being quiet, but at the same time, there's the extroverted part of me that really wants to break free. But the problem with me now is I still have those old ways basically on my back. I can't take it off so easily. scared to talk to people, or if I see somebody I know, like today, I went to this restaurant of some sort, and I saw two people I knew, but I just sort of just kind of metaphorically speaking, put my hat down and just ignored them when I could have said hi or something like that. One of these people I haven't seen in years, and I didn't really talk to the person at all. It was just a classmate, I guess. But yeah. So oftentimes I'll let opportunities pass me by just because I'm quiet or something like that. And it's so unfortunate because I can think of a few people that I've lost or missed opportunities with just because of being quiet, and even job opportunities and such, just because I was too quiet. I was too scared to speak up, get help. And that's another con is being scared of getting help. Well, maybe not getting being scared, but just almost scared to talk and such. Now, going down a different avenue, me being quiet has also stemmed from just sort of how I grew up. Not really my household by any means. Maybe the odd thing here and there. I mean, every household's got their issues, right? Um, my living situation didn't really influence how I spoke and all that. I was still the same, but it was sort of school. When I first started school, everything was normal basically. I was basically your average run of the mill student, although I think I was a little special in ways because I think I might have told the story once on the channel already, but if not, I'll talk about it again right quick. But on the playground, I would sort of pretend that the playground was like Mario 64. I played it on the DS back in the day, and I just thought, why not? Let's just pretend that the playground's like a Mario course or something like that. I'd jump through an imaginary door with everybody watching me. Yes, yeah, I know, and I'd just start walking around, basically going onto the playground, going down the slide, all that, and playing music in my head. Yeah, I know it's crazy, but that's how I did anyways, story aside, so it wasn't really until I got to grade 5. So it also didn't really help that I had moved schools at that point, and this was also to a school that had a very small population, 200 students total from grades K to 6. So very small. There was only two classes in my grade, and that was very scary. So whenever I said I liked Minecraft and such, people were like, "Ew, you like Minecraft? That's so weird. Like you're a kid still. Like come on, we're adults now, even though we're still in grade 5." So, because that kept happening over and over and over again, I didn't quite know how to deal with it back then as well. So, I eventually just suppressed that side of me, and even just talking about things I like in general. Even to this very day, it is still hard for me to talk about things that I like. I'm really trying to make a conscious effort to not worry so much about it because I don't talk about what I like, then how am I supposed to meet real people? Like same with this channel. If I'm wanting to connect with other creators or even just you guys, the audience, how am I supposed to connect if I'm not authentic? If I'm just some AI bot or if I just talk about random slop, well, and how am I supposed to connect? That's why I'm pretty transparent. Like I kind of say what I do and such, and I tell all these stories and such, and it's kind of nice in ways because on one hand I can help people, but in the other hand I can help myself because I'm sort of taking that weight and casting it out there, right? Not sure what I'm casting it to. I could cast it to you guys, and I guess hope I can help you or at least make you feel less alone, which that's two different goals. So my later years in school kind of it got somewhat better. I had friends that I could talk to, so I wasn't as worried of being quiet. I was still pretty quiet for all in class and such. Around this time too. So this was grade 8 was at the absolute worst. This is when I was just everybody's going through puberty, so then the basically hormones skyrocket. Everybody starts acting up and such. Bullying becomes a bit of a weird. Well, I don't know if it's it's bullying to a lesser degree. It's almost, you could try to call it harmless bullying, but any sort of bullying can harm as it compounds, which eventually this did. Like I think by the time grade 10 rolled around, there's this one guy that was just, I don't know what was up with him or what was wrong with him, but he just kept going and going and going until grade 10 and came around. Anyways, I snapped at him in the middle of class, told him to screw off. Anyways, so grade 8, I just had to deal with a lot of shit at that time. I was dealing with some stuff at home, a lot of stuff at school, and it made me feel small. So, me being quiet is also very, very psychological. Now, I wish I could just snap my fingers and change it. I really wish I do, but because, for lack of better terms, I've been damaged a lot because of all that, well, it's not been easy to let it all go. To this very day, I'm still dealing with it. Like, oh, there was I went to church right before I went to Alberta, and the pastor said, like, if you ever need to talk, I think he said it to everybody in the church, that if you ever need to talk or something, like, come talk to me, or we'll go for coffee, yada yada yada. And then, anyways, uh, my mother was there at the time, and she's like, "You should do that." And I'm kind of thinking, "Yeah, yeah, I should." And I come back, and this was last week, and of course that weekend was rough, and even this weekend's rough, I'll admit. But anyways, we're not talking about my weekend. Um, I actually brought up to him that, hey, it's been rough and such, and he said, "Yeah, well, if you ever want to talk." But that's the thing, is I won't take the help because I'm too scared to speak up. I'm worried of being judged. But even though it's handed right to me, which that's the thing, stuff can be handed to me, and I still will basically ignore it. I'll push it away. I won't even acknowledge it. But I'm gonna change. I'm really gonna try to change that. So today's Saturday is recording this. So tomorrow's church, and I'm going to say, hey, would you like to get together sometime? See where it goes. So that's kind of where I'm at. Is just sort of trying to repair the damage that's been done. One final note I'd really like to add, and it's just sort of like a pet peeve in a way, or an annoyance. I don't really know what to call it, but it's just really, really, well, more sad because, see, I've gone through a lot in my life in the past 10 years. A lot has happened, and it's like I'm the guy that's got to clean up the mess these people have created. It's just like a janitor. He's got to clean up messes that people create, and it's like, what the hell? And that's sort of where I feel like I'm standing, is so the damage that was done with growing up in grade 8 at home and then school and all this other stuff that's happened. It's like, A, can I catch a break? And B, why do I have to be the one that has to fix it? But it's my psychological soup of a mess that I gotta fix because it's in my head, not anybody else's head. So it is my responsibility at the end of the day. But of course, it was stupidly hard to cope because if you're dealing with the same crappy thing day in and day out, well, you're gonna break and stay broken for a while until it's gone. And it took a year for it to go away. So that's why I'm still reeling from the effects of that 8 years later. So, anyways, that's enough of that spiel of trying to fix myself and getting upset at the world over it. That's the thing. I'll get upset and be like, oh, it's the world's fault, which, A, it is. I grew up the happiest kid ever. I was so content with everything until things went south, and I just kind of lost that happiness. So that's what I'm trying to do as well, is gain that happiness back. Anyways, we completely went off topic with being the quiet kid. Um, just to summarize me being quiet, I feel that it's been good for me because I've really avoided a lot of problems that other students can go through in school and even college as well. And that's just kind of ending up with the wrong people. That's kind of one of the things I'm most proud of, though, being quiet, is that I've managed to avoid succumbing to being the guy that drinks with his buddies and such, or no, or sorry, to rephrase, end up with people that drink. So because I don't really drink, the last drink I had was 2 years ago. I don't drink, so do I really want to hang out with those kinds of people? Not really. But that could have happened if I just ended up trying to get out there because where I'm from, the drinking demographic is insane. So, not necessarily alcoholism, but it's at the very least they do it to get drunk, and it's just not my cup of tea. So, it does sometimes pay to be quiet, but in other ways, it can really kick you in the rear end. It's never too late to turn it around. You just have to take it one day at a time, and one day you can break free from being the quiet kid. So don't give up. If you're just like me and you're quiet and you're trying to get out of it, don't give up and take your time. Never ever rush yourself, because the last thing you need to do is to end up having a panic attack or something in the middle of Walmart or whatever the hell happens. Best thing to do is to go slow, and one day you will get there. And as always, stay safe and take care.